All right, Tiger fans, we are live. Welcome into another Hump Day Wednesday afternoon edition of the Babin on the Bayou Show. I'm your host, as always, Justin Babin Jr. It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. I greatly appreciate you folks for tuning into the show today. Got a lot of baseball that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about LSU Baseball's midweek victory last night over Northwestern State. Tigers get the dub last night in the box 4-2 over Northwestern State. We'll also do been wanting to do, we're halfway through SEC conference play. We're halfway through the regular season conference slate. So I wanted to do kind of a LSU baseball state of the union and kind of go through that. What is the state of the union of what is the state of LSU baseball going into the second half of SEC play? There's a lot that we got to get to on the show today. Before we get into everything, of course, every day we're brought to you by our friends over at Chilled Heating and Cooling, best AC company in the business today. Remember that number, 225-46-BAYOU, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. Call the team over at Chilled Heating and Cooling today. Tell them you heard about them from the Babin on the Bayou show, and you will be receiving free AC system cleaning checks courtesy of our wonderful friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling. Also, just like you, just like all of us, we love our Tigers, and I especially love my Tigers after a win like the one they got last night. But folks, you know what I also love? I also love food, especially sweets, and there's not a better place that I personally have found to fulfill all of the delicious sweet treat desires that you may have than Sugar Me Sweets, cakes, and confections. From fresh chocolate chip bake, fresh baked chocolate chip cookies to cake squares to cupcakes to custom decorated cakes, the team over at Sugar Me Sweets Cakes and Confections has it all. You can call them today at their number 225-250-1950. That's 225-250-1950. Or you can reach them and visit them in person, located in the city of Central Louisiana. That's where their bakery is. 8565 Rome, Rome Drive, 8565 Rome Drive. They have a storefront that is always fully stocked with all of your last minute dessert needs. They do great work. They're the best bakery around. Again, that's Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections, who we greatly appreciate for being for being a sponsor of the Babin on the Bayou show. Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections, 225-250-1950, or visit them in person today, 8565 Rome Drive in the city of Central Louisiana. Let me get to all of these comments before we get into recapping this Northwestern game. What's up, Zach? What's up, David? What's up, Paul? What's up, my friends? Let's see. Let's see. We're trying to say we have another bakery support. I'm going to be a big fat fatty. Okay, that's funny. Yes. All right. So, all right, let's get into the show. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the show. We got a lot to talk about. I want to get into a recap of this game from last night, this midweek game from last night. Tigers take down Northwestern State 4-2. Get rid of, the Tigers were coming into this game last night with a 4-game losing streak. I mean, you lose to Bethune-Cookman, you get swept on the road in a tough weekend series in Oxford by Ole Miss. And last night you win 4-2. And I'm not going to say that I was heavily encouraged by anything I saw last night, because I really wasn't. I still think we saw more defensive mistakes last night. I mean, that's in every game at this point. Folks, I have to be honest, and we'll talk about this when we get to the state of LSU baseball, which I'm really excited to get into that towards the back half of the show, because I want to kind of been wanting to do, once we got to the halfway point of conference play, I wanted to see where we were at. So we're going to talk about that, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. But the thing with this team defensively is they are a bad defensive baseball team in the field. They are a bad defensive baseball team in the field. And unfortunately, I don't know how it gets better. I don't know how you make it better. I don't know how you fix it. The talent you have is a talent you have, and they're struggling defensively. And we'll talk about that and get to that a little bit later. You made a more some more errors in the field. I believe you had 3 errors in the game last night against Northwestern. Now, your pitching staff had a good game last night, only gave up 2 runs. I thought they were, a little bit shaky. I didn't think they performed their best in the series against Ole Miss in Oxford, but they had a good game last night against Northwestern State, only giving up 2. And then offensively, I mean, you won the game, but I still feel like with this offense right now, I was talking to David and Zach about it last night. We were texting during the game. And I feel like this team has to rely so much on the home run ball, so much on the long ball to generate any runs. They struggle to manufacture runs. I talked plenty about in my Ole Miss recap on Monday how it's like you struggle when you have runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs. You struggle getting those runners in, and it just seems like this team struggles to manufacture and bring runs across the plate outside of the home run ball. We'll also get to that a little bit later in the show, but I want to go through some game flow of this game last night. So unexpectedly, Zach Cowan got the start last night. So Zach Cowan got the start last night. He's been, I would say, your best pitcher through the first half of SEC play, your best, most consistent pitcher with what he's been able to do. I mean, he's got a 0.64 ERA in conference play, like through the first half of conference play. He's got like a 17 strike. He's had in conference play in 14 innings, I believe. He's had 17 strikeouts to only 1 walk. I mean, Zach Cowan's been magnificent, but I did not expect him to get to start yesterday. I think he got the start because he needed a win. You needed a win. You were coming off of a 4-game losing streak, and you lost some midweek games, and your RPI is really not in a good spot right now. A lot of people have talked about that. Your RPI is low, and I understand the argument that people might make of, oh, RPI doesn't matter if you do what you need to do in the back half of SEC play. I understand that, but you needed to win this game last night, and I think that's part of the reason you throw Zach Cowan out there. So Cowan pitched the first 2 innings of this game last night. He didn't give up anything in the first. He got 2 outs in the second before he would give up a solo bomb to Mason Ray. That was Mason Ray's first home run of the season for Northwestern State's Mason Ray. But Cowan would pitch the first 2 innings, and the only thing he would give up was that solo home run to Mason Ray. Then he would give way to Grant Fontenot. Grant Fontenot was great. Grant Fontenot pitched in the 3rd and the 4th inning last night. He retired 6 in a row, retired all 6 batters that he faced. Fontenot did. And he also had 3 strikeouts in between retiring 6 batters in a row. 3 of those outs came on strikeouts. So I think it was a good bounce back for Grant Fontenot. I really like Grant Fontenot. I think he's had a good season. I think he's been really good for you in SEC play. Now, he was coming off a really shaky outing where he only got 1 out against Ole Miss on Sunday, and that was his worst outing in a while, but it was a good bounce back for him. So that's what happens early from the pitching staff side of things. Offensively, you got the leadoff batter on in the first and the second inning, but you failed to score in either inning. You got the leadoff runner on both of the first 2 innings, failed to score. Then Braden Simpson, the second baseman, would tie it up with a solo bomb in the 3rd inning. That would tie the game at 1. That was Simpson's first home run of the season. Simpson got the start over Seth Dardar. Seth Dardar is a little bit banged up. Like, that's obvious. I know he had to play through it, or he tried to play through it. He's going to play through it as long as he can, because you got to think this is Seth Dardar's last shot. It's his last season. It's his last shot. If he has the choice, he's going to play. And he played Friday against Ole Miss. He played a little bit Saturday against Ole Miss, but you could tell he was kind of hindered a little bit. Obviously, had that really scary play sliding late in the second base in the 6th inning last Tuesday against Bethune-Cookman. So Simpson got the start at second base for the 2nd straight game. Got his first home run of the season, the solo bomb in the 2nd that would tie the game at 1. Let's keep going here. LSU would strand runners on the corners to end the 4th without scoring a run. In the 5th inning, Reagan Ricken would come in and give up a leadoff single. Then you would have a bad pickoff throw from Ricken that allowed the runner to move up from first to second. You would have catcher's interference that was called on Cade Beatty. That catcher's interference call on Aaron Beatty would put runners on first and second with no outs in a game that was tied at 1 in the top of the 5th inning. A sac bunt would move both of those runners over into scoring position. An RBI ground out off of Reagan Ricken would give Northwestern the lead back at 2-1. Then Connor Benj would come in the game and get a fly out to left field to end the 5th inning. So Northwestern State leads 2-1 going into the bottom of the 5th inning. But Jake the Rake Brown would hit his 16th home run of the season, a 3-run bomb in the bottom of the 5th inning that would give the Tigers the 4-2 lead. I mean, 16 home runs for Jake Brown. He leads the team in home runs. He's top 5 in the SEC in home runs. Just a great season for Jake Brown with what he's been able to do. I mean, he's been absolutely awesome. I mean, I did not expect at this point. I didn't expect at this point in the season Jake Brown would have 16 home runs, and he's going to get to 20. Like, it's obvious he's going to get to 20. I would love to see what does he finish at. Like, that's my thing is what does he finish at? But his 16th homer of the season, the 3-run bomb in the bottom of the 5th would give LSU the 4-2 lead. That would erase a Braden Simpson really poor base running mistake. So Simpson had that home run that tied the game at 1 in the 3rd, but Simpson was at third base he was on third in the 5th inning. A ball was hit to the shortstop. It was a ground ball, and Simpson at this point, once the shortstop gets the ground ball, Simpson has 2 decisions he's got to make. He's either got to like freeze and run back to third, or he just got to keep going and go all the way home and not hesitate. Well, he didn't do either of those things. He completely hesitated. I have no clue what he was doing. You can't have that base running mistake, especially in a game where you're down 2-1. I mean, you saw some base running mistakes this weekend. Cade Beatty getting out at third in the 1st inning on Friday. Mason Braun getting picked off. Well, this was another one, a bad one by Braden Simpson. But the Jake Brown 3-run bomb would make that really not matter. It would give LSU the 4-2 lead going into the 6th inning. Again, that was Jake Brown's team leading 16th home run of the season. Connor Benj would come back out for the 6th and record 2 strikeouts before Cooper Williams would come in to record a strikeout to end the 6th inning. I will say on Connor Benj, I think Benj has pitched a lot better lately. I really do think Benj has pitched a lot better lately with what he's been able to do. And I've been really happy. Like, it's been good for Benj because he doesn't with Connor Benj, it's not he comes in and pitches multiple innings. Like, I think his longest outing this year is 1 1/3 or something like that. So when he comes in, it's only for a short stint. But I think he's come in lately in his past few appearances, and he's done his job pretty well. So you go into the bottom of the bottom of the 6th. Another instance, man, where you have the bases loaded with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th and a 4-2 game that you're leading, and Derek Curiel flies out to center to end the inning, and you leave the bases loaded. This team leaves way too many runners on base. I understand that's been a thing with maybe Jay Johnson teams in the past, but those offenses you recognize those offenses were really good. So because those offenses were really good, you were able to, it was okay. You were going to leave a lot of runners on base. You understood that. But this offense has been inconsistent. It can get really, really hot at times, but it can also be really, really cold at times. And they leave way too many runners on base. So Curiel flies out with the bases loaded to end the 6th inning. Marcos Paz would strike out the side in order in the 7th inning. Jake Brown would get thrown out at home to end the 7th inning. So again, another situation there where you kind of leave runs on base and don't get anything across in a 4-2 game. In the 8th inning, the Tigers kind of made it a little bit scary. Zion Theophilus in the 8th inning would walk a batter. Then Santiago Garcia would come in. A runner would reach base on a throwing error by John Pearson trying to throw to to Mason Braun at first base, but it was a throwing error by John Pearson that made it to where both runners are safe. Again, the defensive mistakes, it's happening every game. Like, it's happening every game, and it is what it is at this point. And then you have a situation where you got to put Devin Sheeran in the game to win the game. You got to put Sheeran in the game to win the game, because it seems like, oh, are they giving it away? Well, Devin Sheeran comes in the game with one out, and the bases loaded. Sheeran would get a K, and then a batter would foul out to John Pearson to end the inning, and the Tigers would go into the ninth up 4-2. Devin Sheeran would strike out the side in order in the ninth inning, and that would end the game. Tigers win 4-2 over Northwestern State. A few numbers on the game: 16 strikeouts last night for the LSU pitching staff. The LSU defense made 3 more errors last night. So, again, it's been rough all season, and it was rough at times again last night. I know you won the game, but if we're being honest, like, a few more numbers offensively, the offense was 3 for 17 with runners on base last night, and they were 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So 3 for 17 with runners on base, 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. You had the solo homer for Braden Simpson, his first of the year, the 3-run bomb in the 5th by Jake Brown. That was Jake Brown's 16th home run of the year. And Derek Curiel had 2 hits. Stephen Milam had 2 hits. And John Pearson had 2 hits. That is the recap of the game last night. Let me get into the comments, see if there's anything before we move on. Excited, or I want to say excited, but we do have some stuff that we're not necessarily too happy about with when we're going to talk about the state of LSU baseball. But let's get into these comments. What's up, Randy? What's up, Randy? What's up, Goose Sports? Benj, yeah, Benj has been good. What's up, AP? What's up, my friend? Let's see. What's up, my friend? How are you doing? Joker, I don't mind the pitchers you use. None were overextended, and you have to win these midweeks now. Yeah, I agree, and I understand. That's why you have Zach Cowan start that game last night, and that's why you have Devin Sheeran come in late in that game last night. Like, those are your best 2 of your best relief pitchers on the weekend. Like, we're going to talk about, I'm going to steal a term from Paul and other people, and I'll talk about my circle of trust a little bit later when we do this, this segment we're about to do. I'll talk about it. And, like, I mean, Cowan and Sheeran are your top 2 relievers in the bullpen right now. They're your top 2 relievers in the bullpen right now. So, let's see. AP. Yeah, of course, AP. AP show was always was great, as always. If you haven't seen it, you should go back and tune into it. He's doing a show tomorrow night with Tingle and Co. That is going to be very, very fun at 7:15 tomorrow night. So you should lock in the timeouts and tangents. Let's see. All right, I think let's see, Randy. Can't lose any more midweek games. Yeah, I mean, I know people don't like to talk about the RPI, but it is an issue. Like, I understand the argument of, like, you're in SEC play and all of that, and as long as you handle your business in SEC play, it's not going to really matter. But at this point, with your 6-9 in SEC play, you do really have to win these midweek games. Like, you do really have to win them. Like, all games matter, and, like, these are very, very important at this point. Fontenot is a trusted arm out of the pen for sure. I'm gonna get to that soon, Joker. I'm gonna get to that soon. We're gonna get to our LSU baseball state of the program, state of the baseball team halfway through SEC play. Before we get to that, I want to tell you about something else, folks. Something we're very, very excited about. Babin on the Bayou, new sponsor here at Babin on the Bayou. Babin on the Bayou is also now proudly sponsored by NOLA Plumbing and Construction. Devin Nola and his team at NOLA Plumbing and Construction, they are a team that deliver high-quality work. They're known for being trustworthy, dependable, and reliable. Devin and his team, they're great. They're awesome. So if you're in the Baton Rouge area, or if you're in the surrounding Baton Rouge area and you have if you have a plumbing need, then you should call Devin and his team over at NOLA Plumbing and Construction. Their number is 225-512-2900, 225-512-2900. Again, they do great work. Devin is a great guy, and his team is so great. So that's NOLA Plumbing and Construction. Call them today, 225-512-2900. NOLA Plumbing and Construction. We are so excited to bring them on as a brand new sponsor of the Babin on the Bayou show. Okay, I want to get into a few more, I'm just checking the comments periodically, seeing what we're doing. I do. Everybody in here, if you want to do this, we can do this experiment. I was not planning to do this, but we're about to talk about this. If you would like, give me your circle of trust in the comments below on the pitching staff. Who do you trust right now? Who do you trust right now on the pitching staff? Because we're about to get into that. Halfway through SEC play, what is the state of this LSU baseball program? Well, I think the biggest issue is defensively. I think that is without a doubt the biggest issue is defensively. You still have the worst fielding percentage of any team in the SEC. Well, actually, I checked it today, and Alabama took that from you. Alabama is fielding at 961, and LSU is fielding at 963. So you're actually the second worst fielding team in the SEC currently. But it still has been really bad defensively. And my thing with the defense is I don't know how you make it better. The talent you have is the talent you have. The roster you have is the roster you have, and I don't know how you make it better. Now, I made the argument and went on a little bit of a rant on Monday about I don't understand why you're shifting as much as you're shifting because your defense is not good enough to be shifting as much as you're shifting. It was different last year when you had 3 shortstops in the infield and you could shift them around and move them where you want to. Well, guys, I said this the other day. I'll say it again. Your team is struggling to field from their regular positions, so moving them around is not helping them much. And it's been really bad defensively all season. And I don't know how that gets better. I don't know how you improve the defense at this point in the season. Pitching staff, look, pitching, we'll kind of have this conversation. Look, I'll go through a few stats about this pitching staff. You still lead the SEC as a pitching staff in strikeouts, but you are 14th in the SEC currently in team ERA. Opponents are only hitting 224 off of LSU, which really isn't that bad. That's tied for 4th best in the SEC. However, a few numbers you don't want to see. The Tigers are 4th worst in the conference in walks allowed. They've issued 173 walks this year as a pitching staff, and they are 3rd worst in the SEC in hit by pitch. They have hit 52 batters this season. So command has been a little bit of a struggle at times for this pitching staff when you look at the numbers. And then another thing, man, I looked at the numbers on this today. LSU has thrown, as a pitching staff, 15 more wild pitches than any other team in the SEC. 15 more wild pitches than any other team in the SEC. LSU has thrown 53 wild pitches this year. The second worst team in the SEC in that statistic is Kentucky, and they have thrown 38. The wild pitches and the pass balls have been killer for this team this year. Killer for this team this year. That's that. I looked at it today, and it's, again, you're 15 worse than the second worst team in the league in wild pitches thrown. That's Kentucky at 38. You're at 53. What is my circle of trust? What is my circle of trust? And I'll get into your comments below. I want to give mine real quick. I'll give mine. I think you have 7. I think you have 7, and when Cooper Moore's healthy, you have 8. That's what I'm thinking right now as my circle of trust as we sit here right now, halfway through SEC play. Obviously, Kason Evans and William Schmidt. Obviously, those guys. Kason Evans, I think he's had 5 starts in conference play. I think 3 of those starts have been pretty good. I think he's had 3 quality starts. I think he had a rough start against Vanderbilt where he issued 6 free passes in the first 3 innings of that game. He had a rough start against Kentucky where he issued 8 free passes in the first 3 innings of that game, but he was phenomenal against Oklahoma pitching into the 8th inning and striking out 15 and only walking 1. And I thought he was really good against Tennessee. And I thought even though he struggled early in the first 2 innings against Ole Miss, I thought he buckled down and still had a quality outing last Friday night against Ole Miss. Kason Evans is your guy, and I trust Kason Evans, and I believe in Kason Evans, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. Opponents are only hitting 208 off of Kason Evans this year. Opponents are only hitting 208 off of Kason this year. So, again, the issue for Kason, I've said this many, many times on the show before. It's not that opponents are raking off of him. That's not the issue. The issue is the free passes and the command and lack of command, like we saw against Vanderbilt, like we saw against Kentucky. I think you've been a lot better at that. You put 2 quality starts in a row at Tennessee, at Ole Miss, and I think, again, I trust Kason Evans. I think William Schmidt's been great this season. I think he's been awesome this season. He's got a 3.9. Now, some of these stats that I throw out, I'm going to, distinguish between some of these stats are conference stats in 15 conference games. Some of these stats are season stats in every game these guys have pitched in. In conference play, Schmidt has a 3.97 ERA in 5 starts. That's pretty good. And I think Schmidt has been really, really good for the majority of the season this year. I think he's been really, really good at pitching with traffic on base, with runners on base. He doesn't get flustered or anything like that. He's able to work around it. Now, I think he's coming off of possibly his worst, or maybe one of his worst starts of the season last Saturday against Ole Miss. And it's a shame because I thought he was great in the first 3 innings of that game. He didn't allow a run in the first 3 innings. He had 7 strikeouts. And then he kind of got a little bit frustrated by a tight strike zone in the 4th inning, and he kind of got a little bit flustered in that situation. You could tell he was a little bit frustrated and angry. I mean, the Ole Miss announcers were even talking about it. I know David and Zach talked about it, and other people have talked about it as well. But the majority of the season, William Schmidt has been really good. So, obviously, Evans and Schmidt are in the circle of trust. Obviously, Zach Cowan is in the circle of trust. Zach Cowan has phenomenal numbers in SEC play. Zach Cowan has a 0.64 ERA in conference play this season. He's got 17 strikeouts to only 1 walk in conference play this season. SEC hitters are only batting 140 off of Zach Cowan. He has been absolutely phenomenal in conference play. He's been your best pitcher in conference play. He's been the best pitcher on this team through the first half of SEC play. Zach Cowan has been awesome. Devin Sheeran is definitely a part of this. I think Devin Sheeran has had a really great season. He is a part of the circle of trust with what he's been able to do. On the season, these are season numbers. Opponents are only hitting 151 off of Devin Sheeran on the season. And he's got a solid ERA in conference play, the 3.48 ERA in conference play. So Devin Sheeran is a part of this circle of trust. Of course, Gavin Guidry is a part of the circle of trust. Now, I'm not going to go into the numbers on Gavin because when you look at the numbers on Gavin, they look like his ERA is inflated. He's got an ERA over 6 at a season ERA of over 6 and a conference ERA of over 10. But he's still in my circle of trust. You know what you have in Gavin Guidry. You know what you have. You have a veteran guy who's got plenty of great stuff, who's got filthy stuff, and he's been good at times in SEC play. Now, he has had a few bad outings here or there. He got that start against Kentucky that was really rough where he gave up 6 earned runs and only 1 1/3 innings. But I'm not looking at the numbers with Gavin Guidry. I'm looking at we know what we have and what LSU has in Gavin Guidry. So, of course, he is still part of the circle of trust, even though the numbers might not be great. But numbers don't always say everything. I am a numbers guy, but I do have to realize sometimes that numbers can be taken out of context. So sometimes I have to realize that as well. So let's see. We've got Schmidt, Evans, Cowan, Guidry, Sheeran. That's 5. Grant Fontenot is in the circle of trust as well. Grant Fontenot is in the circle of trust as well. I think Fontenot has been really good this season. He actually has the lowest ERA on the team, season total ERA at 2.51. He's got a 2.84 ERA in conference play. So 2.51 in a season as a whole, 2.84 in conference play. Now, I understand he had a bad outing Sunday against Ole Miss. That was a bad outing. But I think Fontenot has been really good. So Fontenot is a part of the circle of trust. I'm putting one left-hander in the circle of trust, and that's going to be Santiago Garcia. I really like Santiago Garcia. I really like his stuff, and I think he's a part of this as well. He's got a 2.70 ERA in SEC play this season and a little bit over 6 innings of work so far in conference play. I think Garcia has been really good this season. And again, so Cooper Moore is a part of this as well. So to recap, and I'll get through some of yours before we get to the offensive state of the offense, and we'll get to that and we'll round all this out. My circle of trust right now is 7. It's 7. It's 8 when Cooper Moore is healthy. So when Cooper Moore is healthy, we'll say Moore, Kason Evans, William Schmidt, Zach Cowan, Devin Sheeran, Gavin Guidry, Grant Fontenot, Santiago Garcia. Those 8 are in 7 right now and 8 when Cooper Moore is healthy. That's my circle of trust. I will say I think Connor Bench has been a lot better lately. I think Connor Bench is trending in the right direction. So I can understand if Connor Bench is a part of this for some of you as well. About to get into the comments on what you think about that. So I think Bench has been good lately. I also see a lot of potential in Marcos Paz. Like the potential and the stuff is there with Marcos Paz, obviously, and I think he's been really good at times for you this season. I do want to say I was wrong about 2 guys on this pitching staff, and I hate calling players out. This is not what I'm trying to do. Y'all know that by now. I'm disappointed in 2 guys who I thought were going to be really, really key contributors this season, and that's Maverick Rizzi and Cooper Williams. Maverick Rizzi and Cooper Williams are 2 guys that I just expected a lot more from them this season, guys. I really did. I mean, both Rizzi and Cooper Williams have an ERA of over 10 in conference play this season. Rizzi has issued 20 free passes in 17 2/3 innings this year. Opponents are only hitting 194 off of Rizzi. So it's not like opponents are hitting very hard off of Maverick Rizzi, but he's a little bit wild with his command. We've seen him throw balls to the backstop this year. We've seen him be wild, and we've seen him come in at times, and he's missed. And when he misses out of the strike zone, like it's not even close sometimes. Like his misses aren't even close, aren't even near the strike zone sometimes. I thought coming into the season, Maverick Rizzi was going to be one of the best arms in this bullpen. I've been wrong about that. I was also wrong about Cooper Williams. Williams, like Rizzi, has an ERA over 10 in conference play. He's given up 16 free passes this season and a little over 14 innings this year. So I expected more from Maverick Rizzi and Cooper Williams. I'm just being honest about that. At this point in the season, I'm not happy with that. I mean, I don't even know. I didn't even look at the numbers on Jaden Newt. Like, I didn't even see the numbers on Jaden Newt. I don't have those numbers for you. But he's another veteran guy. Like, all of those guys, Maverick Rizzi, Cooper Williams, so you can add Jaden Newt. All of those guys were contributors on the team last year that won a national championship that haven't really done anything this year. So I expected more from those guys. I really, really did. While I think Bench and Paz have been good at times, I really think Bench has been good lately, and I see a lot of potential in Marcos Paz. Again, my eight, including when Cooper Moore gets fully healthy, is Kason Evans, William Schmidt, Cooper Moore, Zach Cowan, Devin Sheeran, Gavin Guidry, Grant Fontenot, Santiago Garcia. That's my 8. Those are the 8 I'm going to on the weekend. Those are the 8 that I'm going to on the weekend that I say I have confidence in these guys. That's what I think about the pitching staff. I think you saw last Saturday when Jay, instead of with Devin Sheeran and Gavin Guidry available in the 5th inning last Saturday, instead of going to those two, Jay went to went to Theophilus, Lockenmeyer, Plog, Rizzi. There's another guy in here as well, but you know what I'm saying. And they gave up 8 runs in 2 innings. They gave up 8 runs in the 5th and the 6th innings combined of those games, of that game, that Saturday game against William Schmidt, against Ole Miss. I don't know why I said William Schmidt. Anyway, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I think that kind of showed the lack of depth you have behind the 8 guys. And your midweek pitching has really struggled. That's why you had to throw Devin Sheeran, Zach Cowan, and Grant Fontenot last night, because your midweek pitching hasn't been great. It hasn't been great. Behind those 8 guys, I mean, those are the 8 guys I trust on the staff right now. And then I'll throw in the caveat of I think Binge and Paz have been good at times as well. But circle of trust, that's my 8. I want to get into yours. I want to see if you have some in here right now. Let's see. Fontenot, trusted arm. I know. Let's see. My circle of trust: Guidry, Sheeran, Garcia, Cowan if he isn't starting, Binge. I can see why Binge is absolutely in there. I think Binge is no one, to be honest. That's funny. My circle of trust is excluding starters, of course. Yes. I understand that. Let's see. Guidry, Cowan, Fontenot, Sheeran, Garcia, Binge. So I'm seeing a lot of Connor Binge thrown in here by Joker and Paul. Paz on the verge, but only for 1 inning. Okay. Kaysen pitched one of the elite defense behind him last year and was fine. If the defense was better, he would be better. And then Randy said, Paz and Binge are the 2 outside of the circle of trust might be worthy of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we go through those 8, and I leave the Paz and Binge can potentially enter this for me. And I understand Binge is already in there for Joker and for Paul. That's my circle of trust halfway through SEC play. Offensively, what do I think offensively? Let's see. Kaysen has been fine as of late. He isn't the reason you lost Friday games. Yes, I agree with that. What's up, Noah? How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? We got Tingle in the chat. How are you doing, my buddy? Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. What's up, buddy? All right, let's get into the offense. So we've gone through the defense. I've gone through my circle of trust again. We've gone through that. Offensively, it's just inconsistent, man. Like, it's just inconsistent. We've seen this offense. We've seen them. I thought they had a really good weekend in Nashville against Vanderbilt. I thought they were really good against Vanderbilt. They definitely had a bad weekend at home against Oklahoma. Kentucky, they really turned it on in a Sunday game in which this team was down 7-0 going into the bottom of the 3rd. From the bottom of the 3rd inning on, this team outscored Kentucky 17-3. Tennessee, I think, you have that Sunday game where you put up 7 home runs. You had 7 home runs in that Sunday game against Tennessee. You had some good outings against Tennessee, but you also had periods against Tennessee where Landon Mack retired 14 in a row. Cam Appenzeller retired 15 in a row at one point. But you also had in that one weekend against Tennessee, you had periods where you were really hot and you were really cold. And then against Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss, you weren't that great against Ole Miss. Now, you tried. It's crazy to me. I mean, Sunday against Ole Miss, 8 of the 9 innings, you looked lifeless offensively. I mean, you were lifeless offensively for 8 of the 9 innings of that game. And then The seventh inning, you put up 7 runs on the board. Like it's crazy to me, the inconsistency of this offense. It's just this team gets really, really hot and it gets really, really cold, and there's no middle ground. There is no middle ground with this offense right now. And that is frustrating because we've seen it. We can get into some numbers. I mean, Cade Arambidi, Derek Curiel, and Mason Braun are the 3 hitters batting over 330 in conference play. Mason Braun is batting 360 in SEC play. Aaron Beatty's batting 369. Curiel's batting 339. Mason Braun batting 360. The freshman, since he's been installed at first base, has really stepped it up. And he had a really good weekend against Ole Miss. Mason Braun did with what he was able to do. Let's see. Obviously, Jake Brown's got 16 bombs on the season. Obviously, Jake Brown, and he's been great. Stanley is just a warrior, man. Stanley has been banged up since the second game of the season. Stanfield has been banged up all season, and he hit hard into the wall against Bethune-Cookman. He hit hard into the wall Sunday against Ole Miss, and he's still Stanley is just being what Stanfield is, a veteran batter and a veteran presence that you need on this team. I mean, he is batting currently 283 in conference play after he led the team in batting average in SEC regular season play last season in 2025. I think you've seen some good things from John Pearson at times this year. Pearson has really locked down that third base role. Seth Dardar, of course, he was the SEC co-player of the week, co-offensive player of the week after the Kentucky series. So I think you've seen really good stretches from a lot of guys. It's just so inconsistent offensively. There's no middle ground. Like I said, you're either really hot, you're really cold, or there is no in between. There's no in between for this offense right now. And like I said, and David has talked about this in articles and stuff before, it seems like this team has to rely so much on the long ball to produce runs. Think about the series that they've won. Sunday against Kentucky, you have to have a grand slam by John Pearson and a 3-run bomb by Seth Dardar to get you back in that game. Friday against Tennessee, you had to have a late 8th inning grand slam by Derek Curiel when you were down 4-1 to give you the lead back in that game. On Easter Sunday, you had to hit 7 homers in one game on Easter Sunday to produce runs. 4 of those came by Cade Arambidi alone, and one of the best single game performances that we've ever seen in the history of this baseball program. And then against Ole Miss on Sunday, how'd you get back into that one? Well, you had to hit 3 straight solo bombs from Curiel, Arambidi, and Jake Brown. The issue for me right now that bothers me is the inability of this offense outside of the home run to manufacture runs and bring runs across the plate when you have runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs. So you only got to put the ball in play. You don't even have to get a base hit necessarily. I'm asking for a sac fly. I'm asking for a ground ball. I'm asking you to put the ball in play. And it just seems like this team is so home run reliant this year offensively. And it hurts you. And we've seen it. Like, we've seen great games from this offense. We've seen a great Sunday game against Kentucky, a great Sunday game against Tennessee. You had a great Sunday game against Vanderbilt. Now, you haven't been that good against top-end arms. Like, when you look at LJ Mercurius, Jackson Jelkin, Cam Appenzeller, Tegan Coons, Landon Mack, Hunter Elliott, Cade Townsend, like, those guys have shut you down. Those guys have really been able to shut you down. But you've been able to feast kind of on Sundays. Like, you've been able to hit well on Sundays. But, like, my issue is I think you're so home run reliant. And I think the inability of this offense, when you got less than 2 outs and you got a runner on second or runner on third, you got to get the run in. You got to get the run in, and you got to be able to score. You haven't been able to do that. I think that's a big issue with this offense. I think, as I've said before, you have talent. You have individual talent on this team. they're so inconsistent. They're not really consistently good at anything right now. They're consistently bad in the field. They're consistently bad defensively. That's a big problem. I think you have the individual talent. And when I say what I'm about to say, this is not to say that, you know me, I will never give up on the Tigers, and I'll always watch the Tigers, and I'll always be cheering and rooting them on. I think you got the individual talent and you got the fight. You've been able to fight back in a lot of games this year. That's another issue you had. You never really start fast in any games. You never really start well in any games. You always constantly have to be coming from behind. That's another issue. I don't question the talent. I don't question the fight. But when you put it all together as a cohesive team, this team has been an average baseball team. They've been an average baseball team. And right now, you're 6-9 in SEC play halfway through. And like the road doesn't get any easier from here. This Texas A&M team that we'll talk about later this week is a top 10 team in the country. And they just won 2 games against Texas this past weekend. Georgia or Mississippi State, Starkville, Duty Noble Field is always one of the toughest places to play in the country. Now, Mississippi State has lost 6 straight conference games. They've really struggled lately, but they swept Vanderbilt and they swept Ole Miss. You went 1-5 combined against Vanderbilt and Ole Miss, and they swept both of those teams. And I still think Mississippi State is a really good team, even though they've had a bad 2 weeks for sure. South Carolina is 5-6 in the SEC since they fired Paul Mainieri. Now, South Carolina is not that good. They're one of the worst teams in the league this year, but they're still 5-6 since they fired Paul Mainieri, and they got a SEC road series sweep this weekend, even though, yes, it was against Missouri. You know, South Carolina won't be easy. Georgia has been the best team in the SEC. Georgia's the best team in the SEC. They're a top 5 team in the country. They've hit Georgia is phenomenal. They're a great team. They're a great team. And you got to go on the road to Athens. Like going on the road to Starkville and to Athens, that's going to be brutal in the back half of this stretch. And then you got to play Florida the final weekend of the season in the box. And they got one of the best 1-2 punches from a starting rotation perspective. Liam Peterson and Aiden King are awesome. And Florida has a really good pitching staff. Florida beat Georgia on the road this weekend, 2 out of 3. So they got plenty of talent as well. So it doesn't get any easier from here. I think the problem is again, my big problem is I don't know how you fix the defense. I don't know how you fix the defense. I don't know what you do there to fix it in that situation. I think you just gotta be more consistent, man. And you haven't proven to be, and you've proven to be an average baseball team. I believe in the talent you have, and I know you have fight, and I know you have grit, and I know you don't give up. But when you put the pieces together, they've been average this year. That's what they've been. I'm not gonna give up. I'm still gonna watch every game, but it is what it is this year. This year so far. Gonna keep rooting on the Tigers, man. Gonna keep rooting them on, and hopefully they can turn this around. I will say, in 2024, you were 3-12 at this point in SEC play, and you caught fire, and you were great in the last half of the SEC regular season. You had a great run in Hoover, and you made it all the way to a regional final before you lost to North Carolina and Chapel Hill. You're 3 games better than that. You were 3-12 that year at this point in the conference play. You're 6-9 this year. It's baseball. Anything can happen, and I do think you have the talent. So far, they've proven to be average. That's what they've proven to be so far this season. That's pretty much all I have for the state of the baseball team right now. Let's get into some comments here. Let's see. Let's see. How are we doing here? Joker. What's up, Noah? Again, I thank you for being in the chat, my friend. I greatly thank you for for being in the chat. Thank you, all of you guys, for being in the chat. From Zach to Randy to Paul to AP to David to everybody to Noah. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. They're home run or bust. I agree. I absolutely agree. That's an issue right now. That is the issue right now. They are home run or bust. Let's see. Absolutely right. Honestly, you could truly say below average. Yeah, you could say below average. I wouldn't dispute that. I wouldn't dispute below average right now. It's just it just kind of is what it is right now. I'm gonna keep cheering them on. We'll never give up the Tigers, but right now that's where they are at this point, halfway through SEC play. Let's see. I'll tell you what I texted some earlier. Good thing stats don't. Let's see. I'll tell you what I texted someone earlier. It is a good thing stats don't swing a bat or throw a pitch. Yeah, I understand. I understand with the numbers thing. Like, I do like numbers and I do get in numbers, but I understand sometimes I have to stop myself and be like, context, context, context. Because the numbers will tell you one thing for Gavin Guidry. They don't tell you the experience he has and that we know that we can trust him, that LSU can trust him. 7 wins is going to be tough. It is absolutely going to be tough. Let's see. I don't think you do fix the defense. I think you hope pitching continues to improve and the defense shows up and you overcome the defense. And the offense shows up and you overcome the defense. I can agree with that. That's my biggest thing is the offense can get more consistent, and I think you have talent offensively, and I think you have been good as a pitching staff at some points this year. The defense has been bad all season, and the players are the players you have. You can't bring in an infielder mid-season. I was joking with a buddy Monday. Who knows a lot about baseball and college baseball and everything, and we talk occasionally, and I'm like, do you know if it's a possibility can infielders transfer mid-season? And he's like, unfortunately, you can't. You can't. And that's my big issue. Let's see. With Guidry one day, I'm going to remove his starting appearances from his stats and see what it looks like. Yeah, I agree. That's the thing too, is his stats, his starts skew it because he has been bad in starts, but he's much better in relief appearances. But I think, look, bottom line is the schedule is going to be really hard in the back half. I think it's a brute. You take on what? You take on a top 10 A&M team, a top 5 Georgia team, a Mississippi State team that has been struggling lately, but I still think they're really, really good. And, South Carolina, Florida. I think Florida's got a really good pitching staff. I think they've got a really, really good starting rotation. Let's see. Rizzy pitched the most games last year on the team, most appearances. Zach, that's why his ERA is high. He's been good out the pen. 6 against Kentucky, blow the ERA up. That's what I was saying, and I said that. Like the ERA, I understand the numbers. Context matters with all of that. I completely understand that. All right, I'm gonna get out of here again. I'll do a Texas A&M preview coming up. It may be tomorrow, maybe Friday. I don't know. I have a really, really I'm not going to tell you about it now. I have a really, really cool opportunity on Friday night. It's not related to LSU baseball. Something I've wanted to get back into that I'm trying to get back into commentary and doing play-by-play and potentially so I have an opportunity on Friday night to go and do something that I'm really excited about. So I don't know if that's going to mess the schedule up a little bit at all. I'm about to get out of here real quick. Let's see. I'm about to get out of here real quick. I would say I was watching AP stream earlier, and what he said at the beginning really touched me, and I'll reveal this now. I'll talk about this now. I don't talk about this a lot. This has nothing related to sports, and we'll close out the show soon. Not a lot of people know this, but Saturday is Saturday marked 6 months, half a year since my mom passed. My mom passed away from a heart attack on October 18th, and she was 55 years old, and it was sudden. It was totally unexpected. It was totally unexpected. I didn't know. I knew I was going to talk about it at some point this week on the show. I didn't know when, but I wanted to talk about it now and get it out get it out there. And it's been a difficult 6 months. Like, it's been a difficult 6 months, and that was a difficult time for me. And obviously, going through all of that, um, I will say I have a really good support system. I have a really good church family. I have a lot of people have reached out to me. It's been interesting. It's been like I graduated from LSU over the last 6 months. I've started my dream job of starting my own podcast. I feel like a lot of different things. Like, I've been doing a lot of different things over the last 2 weeks to figure stuff out. And then I've had this personal issue that I've been dealing with for 6 months. And it's been an issue. And I miss my mom all the time. I miss my mom all the time. It is still hard to believe that Saturday will mark half a year since she's been gone. I will say this. Faith, if you know anything about me, faith is a big part of my life. Faith is a big part of my life, and I love the Lord, and it is very important to me to say this, that if anybody is going through anything, if anybody's going through anything like I've been going through, and I've been going through, career's been great. Like, this has been great. I am having a blast. Personal life has been, there are a lot of days where I think about mom. And a lot of days I think about the fact that she wasn't able to be there when I graduated. And what would she think of the show? What would she think of, me joining this LSU baseball community and meeting all these awesome people? Like, what would she think of all of these things? And that's hard. What would she think of her son's first 4 months of life after college and what he's doing right now? I will say it's really important to have people in your life that I've had a lot of people call and check in, and a lot of people be there for me. And I met great guys. Like, you have no idea how much this community has meant to me, between Zach, between Paul, between David, between AP, between Joker, between Randy. Like, you have no idea. And many, many other people. Like, I know, like, Goose Sports has been in here. Like, Noah was in here today, and like all of these people. I just want to say this. If anybody's going through something, know that you're not alone, and know that we grieve so much because we love so much. We grieve a lot because we loved a lot. And that love is something that God gives us, and he gives us time, and he blessed me with 21 years with my mom. And that's something I celebrate, even though it was cut short, and even though it was unexpected, and even though it's been a hard 6 months in my personal life. I will say, if you're going through anything, know that Jesus loves you. Like, know that Jesus loves you. Know that God loves you. Know that God is still good. God is good in spite of our circumstances, because of what he's already done. I mean, he's already given up his son. He's already given up everything for us, and he's already done everything, and he is worthy of praise no matter what we go through in this life. And um, my faith has sustained me over these last 6 months, and I've had friends and family sustain me over these last 6 months, and you know who you are, and you know the conversations we've had, and I appreciate this community. And we are just getting rolling with Babin on the Bayou. And I want to say right now, and I want to go ahead, and I've been thinking about this all week, how I wanted to approach this, and I'll just say this now. Mom, I love you. I know you're up in heaven right now, and I know that you're with Jesus, and I know that I miss you. And thank you. Thank you for being who you were, and for loving me. And of course, like, again, Jesus is like, sustain me, and know that God loves you. Jesus loves you. God loves you. God bless. Thank you for tuning in to the show today. Go Tigers. Babin on the Bayou.